Hello everyone, it's Rose here, your unit coordinator, and welcome to the Flip sessions, preparing for your professional experience in early childhood placements. Firstly, I'd like to do acknowledgement of country. We respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land in which Swinburne Australia campuses are located in Melbourne's East, Outer East, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We are honoured to recognise our connection to the Wurundjeri culture, history, culture, spirituality, and through these locations we strive to ensure that we operate in a manner that respects, honours the elders and the ancestors of these lands. We respectfully acknowledge the Swinburne's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander staff, student, alumni, partners and visitors. We acknowledge and respect the traditional owners of the land across Australia, their elders, ancestors, cultures, heritage, and recognise the continuing sovereignties of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nations. We respectfully acknowledge the diverse country in which we're grateful to learn and live today. So today I'm going to take you through your professional experience. I'm going to look at your acceptance of placement declaration form, the documentation, lesson observation and lesson preparation, education setting life, involvement, professional behaviour, mandatory reporting, feedback and professional experience report. This is your professional experience. It is a 20-day placement, and here are some resources that you'll need to find and download, print off and have in your practicum folder before you start your placement. You might like to take some of these documents along to your pre-placement meeting that you will have with your supervising teacher before you actually start your placement. So all these placement resources can all be found on the Student Hub. I've also put the link in at the top of the slide at the right, so if you click on this link it will take you straight to the educational placement part on the Student Hub, where you'll find all the resources and the links that you'll need for your placement. The main aspects of the resources that you'll need for placement are your placement expectation pack for early childhood, your placement experience handbook. Now the handbook is the same across all early childhood degrees. This can be found in the Student Hub. You can also find the expectations and requirement pack in the Padlet, as well as other resources such as your learning plans, observation templates, and templates for your introduction that will go on the door of the setting where you are doing your placement, so that parents can know that you're there and where you're from. You'll find all these resources also in the Padlet, as well as a copy of the emergency contact form that you'll need to have in an envelope to give to your supervising teacher before you start your placement. There's also a link in the Student Hub, as well as in the Padlet, for polo tops, placement badges. They're also available for you to purchase in the Student Hub. Please have all these resources and documentation ready for your pre-service meeting and have them in your folder so that you can show your supervising teacher as well. You might also like to take a copy of the assignment in the portfolio, and so you can show your supervising teacher what you're actually required to collect in terms of evidence for your portfolio while on placement. So just reminding, this is a 20-day placement. Make sure that you have familiarised yourself with all the expectations while on placement. Okay, now this is a copy of your acceptance of placement declaration. You'll need to read this and sign this before you head out on placement. So make sure that you have read this thoroughly and that you totally understand the declaration. You can download it in the Student Hub, but you'll need to complete this prior to going on placement. It will need to be submitted to the student advisors before starting placement. The declaration statement goes through such statements such as, I will and I understand. So please make sure that you understand the requirements here. It goes through things such as, you will remain involved in your studies while on placement. You will fully immerse yourself into the setting, such as meetings, professional development. You will confirm that you will dress appropriately and abide by policies in doing so. While on placement, here you'll probably need to have a discussion with your supervising teacher about appropriate wear and what they require for you here. And this is a great time to discuss that in your placement meeting. It also says you'll provide all the documentation to your supervising teacher at your pre-placement meeting, and those documents that I have mentioned in our previous slide. Okay? Any templates that you'll be using when you completing all of your learning plans and observations, you'll need to provide these to your supervising teacher. Look through the expectations and requirement pack just so that they are really clear on the idea of what their role is as your supervising teacher. What are they going to be looking at in terms of assessing you and against the ATSAL standards while you are on placement? Expectation and requirements pack will also be sent out by your OLA, so they will have this, but we do require that you send this along with you when you go to your meeting. This pack indicates and gives your supervising teacher a really clear idea of what their role is as a supervising teacher and what they're going to be looking at in terms of assessing you against those ATSAL standards whilst you're on placement. This informs your final report, and you will need to become fully involved in the life of the setting. So this really means immersing yourself into the culture of the setting and becoming a team member, remaining professional at all times. Now remember, you're not only just presenting yourself here, you're representing the Swinburne Online. It's important that you remain professional and follow code of conduct at all times while you're at the setting in placement. You'll also be going through your interim report halfway at day 10 of your placement and completing the interim report section with your supervising teacher just to make sure that you're achieving the ATSAL standards when it comes to your final report. At the end of your placement, you'll be completing the final report and making sure that you have addressed all of those 8 standards and focus areas that you need to be doing while on placement. Make sure by the end of the placement that you have your final copy of the final report for your own records, as well as the final report will need to be emailed back to your OLA at the end of the placement for them to check over and upload to Canvas. Down the bottom of this slide, it also says that if you withdraw from placement or the unit, you need to notify us before census date. This is the last date that you can withdraw from the unit without academic penalties. If you request to withdraw from the unit, you'll be placed on hold until your placement situation has been assessed. Documentation. Now that you have shared this with your supervising teacher, all of the documentation, your expectations and requirement pack, as I said before, it outlines the responsibility of your supervising teacher throughout placement. It gives a breakdown of what you need to be doing in terms of your role and their role as your supervising teacher. It can help you in terms of your placement in addressing those standards, and the expectations and requirement pack does change depending on your placement that you're enrolled in. So make sure that you have the correct up-to-date policy expectations and requirements pack. This can be found in the Student Hub as well as the Padlet. You'll need to hand this to your supervising teacher. They will also get a copy of this, as I said before, in the email that your OLA will send out to you with the reports to your supervising teacher at the start of placement. But that won't be sent out until at least 3 days prior to placement, as we know that the supervising teachers can be busy. So they will probably expect to get that around day 2 or day 3 prior to your placement. So it's a great idea to hand a copy to them in your pre-placement meeting, as this generally happens about a week before you starting placement. It's a good idea to take a copy with you then. It gives both you and your supervising teacher a clear understanding of the requirements in terms of meeting those requirements within the report. It also helps for you to check on the first day that they've received the email from the OLA, and if they haven't, just give the OLA an email to let them know. The professional experience pack is also found in the Padlet and in the Student Hub. So it goes over the policies and expectations while on placement. You need to make sure that you're using the Swinburne Online's learning plans and templates, and make sure that you have the updated ones. They are available in the Student Hub as well as the Padlet. The learning templates that you will use for all your learning plans, you need to give them to your supervising teacher a few days or a couple of days prior you implementing them, as that gives them an insight of the level of detail and your understanding and the knowledge of how to write learning plans. It also is a part of your portfolio assignment, as well as your supervisor teacher will be looking at it in terms of documentation when they're assessing you in your final report. Your supervising teacher can have a look at the learning plan templates and take these along to your pre-placement meeting. It's a great opportunity for your supervisor teacher to become familiar with what kind of feedback they need to be giving to you while on placement. Learning plan observations and preparation. Now, your learning plans and your written learning experiences must be written up a day before you implement them at minimum. It's going to give, and you need to give these to your supervising teacher. You need to give them time so they can give you feedback about your learning experiences that you intend to plan. They might give you feedback in terms of whether your learning experiences could be adapted or amended in any way, so they align with the centre policies, philosophy and approaches, and whether the plans are linking to the children's interests, knowledge and understandings. They can give you their professional knowledge and suggestions to make further improvements on the aim or the learning objectives within your learning plans. While you'll be observing a significant number of learning experiences, you'll be observing individual children as well as groups of children. You'll be observing routines, interactions and different teaching techniques and strategies that is happening within the room. You're also making an observation and taking down your professional notes, so that you might like to take these notes in a little notebook, post-it notes. They're really going to help you in terms of your reflection that you'll need to be writing up in your portfolio assignment. At the end of the lesson observation record sheets, you can download these in the link and the Student Hub, as well as that link can be found at the start that we've shared earlier or in the Padlet. We do expect that you are detailed in all your write-ups with your learning plans that you provide to your supervising teacher. Your supervising teacher will be assessing you on your ability to write up a detailed learning plan and experiences, either individual children or groups of children. You are expected to use the Swinburne Online Learning Plan templates, and these are all found in the Padlet or in the Student Hub, as I said before. The education setting, life and involvement and health and safety. So you will need to complete an emergency contact form in case there is an incident or an emergency while you're on placement. The form will detail all your emergency contacts that the setting can contact if there is an incident. You need to provide a copy of this form to your pre-service coordinator at the setting on your first day of placement. A copy of this form can be found in the Student Hub as well as the Padlet. All incidences while on placement that you may be involved in should be reported to the setting following their policies and procedures for health and safety of incidences, and please also provide a copy of these in the detail of any incidents to the student advisor, as well as CCing in your unit coordinator. It's always handy to pop this in a Ziploc bag in your practicum folder as well, just to have an extra place that your emergency contacts are in. Mandatory reporting. The Child Safe Standards is in Module 1, and you'll find more information there to help you understand the child safety standards. As a part of Swinburne University, we are committed to the child safety standards, and we all must complete the mandatory reporting section to have your acceptance of placement form approved. Okay, you cannot go out on placement without doing the mandatory reporting within Module 1 of the unit. If you have any further questions, please direct these to the student advisors. Supervising teacher feedback. So sometimes on placement there is too much feedback and sometimes we may not get enough. So where do we need to find that middle ground is really having that open discussion with your supervising teacher. They're assessing you against the ATSOL standards and they're going to be giving you constructive feedback throughout your placement in terms of your progression and how you're meeting those standards. It's important that you take on board all the feedback given to you in order to develop your skills as a teacher. For you to successfully complete your placement, you need to be proactive in seeking out this feedback, and the pre-placement meeting I would suggest here is where you would sit down and ask your supervising teacher when it is a good time that you can sit down and have a chat with them and when's a great time to have this discussion about your learning experiences, about your behaviour, about your documentation, and trying to organise time with your placement supervising teacher just to sit down and go through the feedback and your learning experiences and on your learning plans. Make sure that you point out that this is really important for you to receive this feedback. And I'd also like to point out that it's really important for you to take on the feedback in a constructive and positive way. No matter how many years you've been teaching, we all get feedback. And no matter how experienced we may be, it's always important to remember that feedback is going to give us and allow us that time to reflect and grow and further develop our teaching pedagogy. Sometimes a supervising teacher may be quite limited in their feedback, and that's where we really want you to be proactive in seeking out your feedback and asking questions in such an effective way, such as, how did I go with that experience? What do you think I could have done better? Maybe could I have done this differently? No matter how long we've all been in early childhood or how experienced or not experienced we may be, we're not all perfect, and we want you to extend your skills on your practices, as this is the whole point of you being out on placement. So please question and take feedback proactive and take on that professional knowledge of your supervising teacher. They are there for you to really expand your knowledge and your skills, okay? Professional experience and assessment report. So these reports is what your supervising teacher is going to be assessing you against. They consist of 8 standards, and a number of these standards and focus areas will increase as you go through your course and as you meet through each placement. You'll progress through your degree and you'll have different focus areas that you'll be focusing on. And halfway throughout your placement, which it will be around day 10, you'll have an interim report that you'll have a discussion with your supervising teacher. And this interim report will have 3 boards of domains, so your professional knowledge, your professional practice, and your professional engagement. So take the time and ask questions here. And how's your placement going? This is a really great opportunity to see where you're at and how can you make sure that you are achieving all full 8 standards for your final report. Your final report is due on day 20 of your placement, and the final report will need to be sent back to your OLA from your supervising teacher. And you'll need to sit down with your supervising teacher to go through that as well. So halfway point, you will have your interim report and you'll need to sign this off, and so will your supervising teacher, and that will also need to be sent back to your OLA. Your supervising teacher in your final report will be going through a set of ratings. And each rating is either E for exceeds, M for meeting, and there is also a non-meeting rating. And that would mean if your supervising teacher believes that you're not meeting, it could mean not support a pass for the placement. A not encountered will require further discussion with your supervising teacher. So this is where you can sit down and discuss how you believe you meet that standard. And you can also, your supervising teacher and yourself can have a discussion with your OLA to determine if that placement meets a pass. Ensure that you sign a copy of both reports and make sure that the final and interim report are both sent back to your OLA. The email will need to come back from your supervising teacher to your OLA, and please don't get offended if we are asking for it to come directly from the supervising teacher, as this is a part of Swinburne's policies. And I just want to reiterate here that all reports will be sent from your OLA at least 3 days prior to you starting your placement. Sometimes we may, as an OLA, get an unfinished report, so we may send them back to the supervising teacher. But once we have received them, we will notify you that we have received them and submitted them into Canvas. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope this has really helped you prepare for your placement. I look forward to working with you all throughout this teaching period, and I hope that you'll all have an amazing placement. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your OLA, head into the discussion boards and have further discussions in relation to your placement. And good luck.